But that's all that matters. King Trump says what he wants, and then the base will, like, it's been a fun little debate, but
there you go.
That's it.
Billionaires won.
In this video, Sam Seder and Emma Vigeland of The Majority Report talk about how Bannon unloads on Trump's sugar daddies. Great title, that. You can find the full video on their channel, The Majority Report with Sam Seder. I'm going to watch this with you. I'm going to have some comments of my own to make as we go, and then I want to know what you think in the comments, but let's take a listen.
And here's Steve Bannon waving the same flag as if Donald Trump is also not one of these oligarchs.
Here's our position. You're not going to reform it because we're going to get it shut down, all of it. It should be the top. If Elon Musk's number one thing was Doge for America First, American citizens, this would be at the top of something to take off, to take it down. Why is it not? Because I believe his agenda is how to become the first trillionaire. I'm just saying.
That is his agenda, and it always was. That's part of what he's obsessed with in terms of funding these primary challenges for anybody that goes against the Trump agenda. The goal is for him to maximize his net worth while the Republicans have both the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That's what he's trying to do. But, yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious. We've already been through the 4 years of this. I
mean, Trump's going to welcome that kind of money. So I wonder how they strike that balance, or if MAGA even cares at the end of the day.
Well, my guess is that at the end of the day, the so-called MAGA and anything that they wanted or anything that they voted for has all been an illusion anyways. They're not going to care about this one way or another. They will get over it depending on what Donald Trump says. That's it. I contend right now that if you voted for Donald Trump, unless you're a wealthy person or a ultra-nationalist, that's a very polite way of putting it, or maybe a religious fundamentalist, let's be honest, Christian fundamentalist, whatever reason you thought you were voting for Donald Trump, you're going to get screwed. And this immigration thing is a perfect example. There is, if you believe there should be no immigration or less immigration in this country, there's absolutely no reason to assume that you need to import skilled immigrants any more than unskilled immigrants. They both help this economy. They both bring in, values and ideas that are dynamic and different.
What's really curious to me is the right's continued persistence of, like, I understand there are people that are not in the country legally, but it's this sort of broad swath that we need is an American. This is America. I guess we're all supposed to be white Christians. We need to get everybody else out of here with a few exceptions. But capitalism needs a disposable workforce, right? And it used to be slaves, and we made that illegal. So right now you've got people that are willing to come across the border and pick hot peppers for pennies, and we want to get rid of them? Like, obviously, Americans, white whatever, don't want to do those jobs, but we also don't want to pay more for peppers. So how do we square that? I don't understand.
If you believe that immigrants are the problem in this country, that you're losing your sense of America, there's no reason to have either one of them. So let's tune in to Donald Trump. And like I say, Forbes in February of 2020 wrote a piece on how the Trump administration, the first one, really attacked and undermined the H-1B visa program. This was one of their biggest agendas. And based upon what, Bannon says, and I would imagine Stephen Miller say, it's going to be their agenda again. Why wouldn't be? That would be completely consistent. That's what we've been told people voted for Donald Trump. Can we get a drum roll, please? Can we find a drum roll? Can we find a drum roll? How do we not have a drum roll on our soundboard? Because it's a moment of suspense.
I would make sure to have a drum roll on my soundboard.
I got it. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will hear how Prince Trump has decided. Elon and Vivek, or the rubes who voted for no more immigrants in this country.
Why'd you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said you changed your position. You plan to go to the funeral next?
Sad trombone now, Matt.
We have one of those.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
Where's your board?
I
They
mean,
gonna do everything around here? People are pretty rusty after.
I do feel like, why do we keep cutting to Trump and what Trump says? He doesn't, there's no continuity, right? He says whatever he remembers from what the last person said. There's no plan.
Week.
yeah, well, you know.
But there it is. Donald
feel-
Trump does a full 180.
But that's all that matters. King Trump says what he wants, and then the base will, like, it's been a fun
over.
little debate, but
There you go.
it's it. That's it.
Billionaires won.
Yeah. And as long as they get some images of some crying families being torn apart, and maybe AOC or I don't know, another member of Congress has an emotional moment and they get to laugh at her about like what the pain they've inflicted, they'll forget about H-1B in a second.
Of course. Can't we get some black people kneeling or something like that, and we could talk about something different?
But again, like, this is not this is not actually a contradiction. It's always been a lie that, and there is a discrepancy between, are we doing this to keep the America white, or are we doing this for the labor imperatives of it? And I can't remember who exactly said, but one of the right-wing sort of intelligentsia guys said, well, Americans should like the H-1B program because it's causing brain drain from all these other countries. And it's like, so, okay, the wages get suppressed. If I wanted to go into tech, it's going to be suppressed by people from other countries that are going to work more for less, who might be the exact same competency. But at least India has less, like,
But that's the way that all of these things are utilized for their real agenda, whether it's both racism or it could be like, patriotism. It's patriotic for these companies to cause a brain drain from potentially rival companies. But who's going to benefit from this at the end of the day?
Yeah, actually, I like what he said. Are we doing this to keep America white or to keep America rich?
It's the rich people.
That would be me.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to be clear. Do I think we should have an H-1B program? Yes. But should we be extracting money from corporations so that they don't save on the delta? If there really is, technical know-how that we need to fill the gaps, that's fine. But you're going to pay for it. And that money go back in to support, like Bernie's bill, support developing the technical know-how amongst Americans. And while we're at it, let's apply this to people across the spectrum of skill, because there's no reason not to. If you're telling me that you're importing these people because of their work ethic, because of their cultural values, let's bring in the other people from these other immigrants, so that we get our stuff picked. And let's develop a way in which we protect them from the exploitation of the capitalist class that brings them in here. Yeah, Niall from Trinidad. Time to hire some skilled immigrants to handle the soundboard.
But but that's part of the thing where it's like, what scares me about this era of Trump is that he does feel kind of untethered from really any promises outside of just the toughness on immigration, which is going to be brutal. But like he I think in part because the Democrats abdicated leadership and responsibility over these past 4 years and never made it so that people, like government, was delivering for them, and in a robust way and in a way that was tangible and made sense, and there was an overarching narrative, that there's a section of like folks where either they stayed home or Donald Trump makes them feel like he's
Plan beats no plan.
Or I'd rather be entertained by my government, which both parties suck and they're not doing anything for me. And at least with him,
plan beats no plan, even if the plan keeps evolving and is really made based on nothing.
Actually, concept of a plan beats no plan.
Exactly.
And we're going to hear in history this like rewriting of this time period to talk about Donald Trump as a political force. And in terms of his charisma, I think that is valid. But there were millions of missed opportunities to put this guy in the dustbin of history where he should be. And that's a failure of the opposition party, which is basically a coalition of people who just are not Republicans, as opposed to a party that stands for something more broadly.
You know, I have had this conversation with other friends of mine that follow politics, and it's like the Democrats continue to play by the rules, and the Republicans have just abandoned that. Right. So the Republicans talk and will shout and clutch their pearls when they feel like the Democrats are violating the rules. But the Democrats are the party that have followed the rules, and the Republicans. So the way that he put it was, it's as though if it's a big basketball game, the Democrats are trying to win the basketball game by playing basketball, and the Republicans are just running around punching people in the face, and they have bought the refs. So the Democrats keep turning to the ref and be like, hey, that was a foul, and the refs don't see anything because they're in the Republican pocket. They're not governing. They're not doing this in good faith, right? So I think the only way I could see out of it now that the money is so entrenched is that the Democrats, if they want to get back in, have to get into the knife fight. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't sound great either now that I say it out loud. You let me know what you think in the comments.